Okay. Welcome to the October 12th meeting of the Environmental Advisory Council. Looks like we have a quorum, so we got a full agenda tonight, so let's proceed immediately. First item is approval of the September 14th meeting minutes. Everybody looked at them. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I looked at them and I will make a motion to approve the 9/14/23 EAC minutes.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Okay. Number one done.
All right. On a roll.
All right. Now, is Tom Kamita on the call? Because Jim, do you know if he's on, Jim Majewski?
I don't see him in the room.
Yeah, and Jim isn't responding. So I guess we can proceed on to the next agenda item and come back when he appears on the screen.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Jim Bray sent out a letter recommending a LMT hire a certified arborist.
Mm-hmm.
And take it away, Jim. Where do you want to go from here? And you want comments on this? And
No, I think what I'd like to do is just get it approved to send out, but I really want to talk to Dave Kratzer first. Send him a copy, sit down and talk to him and get his input, and then send it out to the board. I think there's certainly a real need for this position. As you even said further on, Alan, in the last 10 years, we probably, with the current plan, with the one that's in the offing, a couple of thousand trees. And, when I tool around the township a little and look, there's a lot of trees that are dead, that have been dead for a couple of years. And our maintenance staff, I think, certainly they do a superb job, but I don't see how they can really take care of this kind of significant tree planting. So the proposal is to hire a certified arborist. I'm familiar with in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, they have a position like this. And it's very important. I mean, he has like an annual maintenance plan. They each year they review, the tree coverage, make recommendations and that sort of thing. So what I would like is just approval to discuss this further with Dave Kratzer and then mail it to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. I would make it clear to Dave that this arborist is mainly going to focus on township property trees, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Make that clear to him because
yeah, that's a good point. I'm just assuming that everybody knows that.
No, you should say, yeah,
the township, yeah.
Park trees in the parks, along street right-of-ways, around township buildings. Just that'll give it an added, perk.
Yeah. See, I'm glad you mentioned that because to me that was just I took it for granted.
No,
things like that you can't take for granted.
Yeah, you talk about the tree cover and LMT that counts for everybody. Private property.
I'll make sure that that's taken care of. All right. Does somebody? Can I actually ask for a vote, even though it's my thing, or how does this work?
Go ahead, ask for a vote.
Okay. I would like approval to review the request for an arborist position with Dave Kratzer, and then send it out to the Board of Supervisors, hopefully for their approval as well.
All right, I'll second that. Can we have a vote? Wait, we lost Sumya.
Sumya, what happened to Sumya?
There she is. Sumya, are you
part of the EAC, right? Hey, Sumya.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Did you hear what we want to vote on?
Yeah. I just switched my device. I logged in from my computer just now.
Okay. All right. All in favor, raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
All right, 4-1. It is approved. Okay, I see Dan's on now. We still don't have Tom
I have
Comita.
Thomas on the line here. Do you want me to put him into the room with you guys?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
All right, perfect. I'm bringing him in. Thomas, you are live with the board now.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. I was unable, even though I downloaded the Zoom app, I was unable to get the video. So my apologies, but I can hear you.
All right. We thought we could take a few minutes and you could go over what you had planned. From what you sent out, it looks like you're going to look at some of the sites that weren't covered, that were in the 2016 plan that weren't completed. And then
Right.
Jim Majewski sent you a number of basins, like a lot
Correct.
of basins. Yeah. And you also got our letter with with 8 sites, and there's a lot of overlap between what you got from Jim Majewski and what's in the 2016 plan. But
Right.
so how are you going to do this? What's your plan?
Okay. Good question. So first, let me say thank you for inviting me to your meeting. My name is Tom Comita. I am a landscape architect. I practiced 50 years in Pennsylvania. My 50th anniversary was July 16 of this year. I have a Bachelor of Science of Landscape Architecture from Penn State and a Master of Landscape Architecture from Harvard University. Before attending Harvard, I worked 15 summers for a family landscape construction business, including work at their nursery, tagging about 200 different species of trees and about 150 different species of shrubs. In my practice currently, our company is the designated landscape architect to 26 municipalities in Pennsylvania, in which case we design parks, we review landscape plans, we do site inspections, and so forth. And Jim will tell you, I believe, that when I first went to the township for an overview of each of the parks, we spent the day on August 18th. Jim was the driver, I was the passenger, and we visited most of the parks that I outlined in green, including Memorial Park, Makefield Highlands Golf Course, Patterson Farm, the Fred Allen Softball Complex, Makefield Park, the Reagan Tract, and so forth. We drove quickly through many of the sites that are the basins. But on the strength of what Jim sent today, we now have those 23 basin locations. And what Dan McClone sent previously were various scale maps on a Google Earth GIS county base sheet of Memorial Park, Community Park, the Greg Sayola Baseball Park, Fred Allen Softball Complex, the Community Center, the Reagan Tract, Veterans Square, Macclesfield Park, Makefield Highlands Golf Course, Stoddard Fields, and the Patterson Farm. So when Jim and I drove to those sites in August, it was like thump the band. Jim would say to me, here's the section of plantings that might need to get replaced. What would you recommend? Or I would go past the site and I would say, wow, those October Glory maple trees look good. or we would look at a basin and I would look at the perimeter berm around it, and I would say, in a particular location, that might be a good place for a multi-stem plant like an amelanchier or a redbud or whatever. So I am very, very, very familiar with plants, and I always feel like I'm learning every day. So during this process, I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from the EAC. But with regard to what you sent me, I appreciate the descriptions regarding each of the properties and what was originally contemplated, what's yet to be completed, and being mindful of in-progress work, such as the in-progress Makefield Park Master Plan, where on August 18th, for example, Jim and I were talking about it and said, without feeling the thunder of whatever the master plan is going to show, there were properties that could be buffered. So we were looking at places that would be the sweet spot where evergreen trees and maybe some deciduous trees would go. It's my understanding, as a follow-up to this evening's meeting, that the EAC will next meet on November 2nd or November 9th. Is that correct?
Yeah, November 9th.
November 9th. That's great, because what I could do is between tomorrow, when I take a look again at many of the sites and a number of sites I haven't yet seen, I'm going to actually, as the passenger, place circles and other symbols and notes on the various sheets that I have. I'm going to then next week transfer that information to the base sheets that Dan and Jim have sent. And then in advance of November 9th, send you the first blush plan to illustrate where and what type of species might be appropriate for the locations that we're concentrating on. And so I think at the November 9th meeting, we could drill down into a lot of detail. I may need on that day to actually be, quote, with you, so that I could perhaps better visualize what we're doing. But if we're going to do Zoom, I'll be sure somehow to figure out how to get that Zoom app to allow me the video access so I could share screen. But I think that what I learned from the August 18th drive-through, was very helpful. I realized that the Boucher and James drawings and what they showed weren't quite up to snuff. I'm not sure which landscape architect in that company might have drawn those features, but I liked in the EAC the word LA, where, for example, on the west side of Heacock Road between Edgewood and Yardley Langhorne, you said trees in an LA fashion could be planted in a row along Heacock Road, starting near Heacock Edgewood Road intersection and continuing to the Heacock Road Yardley Langhorne intersection, approximately 500 feet, and roughly 17 trees could be planted there. Also, at the golf course, there was a comment that planting trees in an LA fashion along the Merrick Road entrance off of Woodside Road should be considered. I'm all about that. I love the elegance and simplicity of an LA type planting. I think there might also be some sleeper opportunities where items that are not specified in the materials dated October 5th might come to life. And let me see if I can give you an example. When Jim and I drove around the township, let's see. We were right next to the township building where the swim club is located. So let me go to Dan's drawing of that at Community Park. And Jim had mentioned in the northwest corner of the swimming pool complex, there was a tree or some trees that weren't doing so well that needed to be replaced. Now, admittedly, on August 18th, we just drove in the car, and tomorrow we're going to have to walk into some of the sites. But I know so much about trees that when I spot one that wrong plant, wrong place, I won't be bashful, to suggest an alternative species. Also, I believe at the township building and the library, community park, there is currently a row of Bradford pear trees that Jim said could be studied to be replaced for long term, even though, being as brittle as they are, they look good today. So I think what I'll do my best is to meet all of the objective requests that are in the October 5th list, identify some possible innovations, beyond that, and, be mindful all the while of the idea of the multi-year tree plan. So I am good to go. Once I got these basins today, I now have all the base information that I can use to mark up the various aerials and drawings to come up with an initial plan. And then that plan is going to be critiqued and revised to create a revised plan, before we're all said and done. So I think I'm in good shape. And Jim, will you also be the tour guide tomorrow?
Yes, for most of the day. I know where all the things are buried. So, I know the golf course, the alley of trees going in is a fantastic idea. But on the one side of the road, there's cable and then there's gas and water. So it's a difficult space, which is why we have you out there to tell us, can we fit that around, stuff like that. And we'll go around and go over the specifics. I have walked a number of these sites with Alan Dresser and Jim Bray. So we're all on the same page about where we're looking for the goal of, in some places, reforestation versus buffering versus just beautification, that street tree, shade tree type look. So I think as we go through and then they bring it back to the AC, we can fine tune it. But I think we're all looking good to move forward.
Very
right.
good. The other thing that I'm going to be mindful of in the Lower Makefield Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, Exhibit 1, Lower Makefield Township Native Plant List. So you already have, your evergreen and deciduous trees that are currently listed, and the flowering trees as well, and the shrubs, deciduous and evergreen. So that is a good list that I'll be mindful of when I make the choices. I noticed on first blush when I looked at it in August, there were a couple species that a little bit more readily available, and a couple who are really doing well in our zone of hardiness. So we'll favor those. And then, I love sassafras, but I haven't been able to find too many big sassafras in my career. Find them growing very elegantly in the wild. But I have that list, so that's a really good starting point for making some of the choices for the plants. And then other like-type plants might be good neighbors to those that are also native. I don't usually use the Acer saccharinum, the silver maple, because of its brittle nature. I honestly, I've never specified one in 50 years, but I specified many sugar maples and October glory maples. There's some really good trees here. Obviously, we got to take off the white and green ash from this list because this list was made many years ago. But it's all good. So very good. And does anyone have any other observations or wish list items that we should talk about right now?
Well, I have a quick question. How many sites, and maybe Jim Majewski should answer this too. How many sites you think will be on the plan in total when you're done? Are you going to present a bunch of sites and we're going to whittle those down, or are we just going to go with 25 to 30 or?
Well, I think when
I
we
think-
look at it, it may be that some of those basins that we're looking at just aren't suitable.
Okay.
But we
Yes.
need, that's why we're having him go out and take a look at them. So I'm thinking maybe close to 30 total.
Okay. I'm just curious. It seems like a
But
lot.
the point, other than what Jim said, let's consider this as the true multi-year master plan. Obviously, it'll have to be prioritized, but even if there are higher priority items, if there is a basin that is a good place for new plantings, even though it might be on the lower end of the priority list, at least we would have the benefit of having it in sort of like this master plan concept.
Right.
I'm completely deferring to you on the first, second, and third priorities on, you know, how you will implement it. We'll see how that plays out. But I think I'll give you the benefit of all my brainstorming and suggestions on what to plant where. And I might have a couple of, sort of minor suggestions on how to sweeten a particular planting plan. So let me give you an example. Let me go to, where is it here? Not the Reagan track, Veteran Square. So in the historic setting of Veteran Square, there might be a couple of other, so by the way, the October Glory maples that were recently installed do show up in the current Bucks County GIS information. So they're already on the drawing, but there might be a couple of other innovations that are listed. In your list, Veteran Square did not make your October 5th list, but
Yeah. I thought that was completed.
Pardon me?
I thought it was completed. They had planted all the trees there. Is that not true, Jim Majewski?
Not all of the trees. There's a little opportunity, but I think that's another one where we're sort of waiting on finalization of a sketch plan to make sure that whatever we do propose doesn't interfere with like a pavilion and playground location, stuff like that.
All right.
So that's like
So
not much to be
in the
done.
Boucher-
Yeah,
And
I
we say
also think, Tom, in the prior plan, the 2016 plan, basically the EAC ended up doing the prioritization. However, if you have thoughts in mind about what should be done first, that would certainly be, I think important, and we would certainly take a look at that. As far as species selection, we have the native plant list, of course, but I think we would rely on your expertise. Now, we have some decent expertise on board. Alan knows a lot about trees. Linda does that for a living. I'm a naturalist at Bowman's Hill, and I routinely give tours, on trees. However, you are the true expert on this, and we would certainly defer to your expertise. For instance, you might say, okay, this is a great tree, but it doesn't really do well in this particular spot, but it will do well over here. So again, that's why we hired you, Tom, because you're the expert. Also, I think you're mindful of the fact that we are going to be planting 162 trees this fall. Roughly about 100 in the Fred Allen complex, about 30 in the Kiola complex, and about 30 in the Memorial Park area. So again, I think the information that we sent you, you should have all that information at hand. I don't know exactly when that planning date is going to be. Maybe Jim Majewski has some updated information on that. But I know I can speak for the EAC as a whole. We'll certainly supply you any help that you really need, whether it's, in the field or sitting down, reviewing your plan or whatever. So we're pretty excited about this. We're also assuming that the initial plan had close to 1,000 trees. We're assuming that the new plan, the 2024 plan that we call, would probably end up with a comparable amount.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
just
have
wanted
a-
to go back. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I have a few comments after you.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to go back briefly, ever so briefly, to Veteran Square. So when Jim and I went there in August, we noticed that the 2016 Boucher and James plan had 5 trees on the west side, which we know can't go in because of the water and sewer lines. The drawing also shows buffer trees to the north of where or to the east of where the open space used for the farmers market. So when we go back there tomorrow, we'll decide, are there some gaps that we should look at and so forth. But regarding the 162 trees for this fall, the 100, the 30, and the 30, if I don't believe I have any drawing that shows, if there is such a drawing, that shows where those trees were contemplated. Is there a drawing?
Well, yes and no. Alan and I, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, toured the area, and we basically talked about it ourselves, where these trees should probably be located, but we haven't put them on a specific drawing yet. However, that's a task that I have in front of me right now. We have the individual drawings or maps for each of the area. And what I was going to do is superimpose the locations that we thought were appropriate to plant those trees. And so we could have that probably in a couple of days or early next week, let's say.
That would be perfect.
There's no
Time.
plan for those trees right now?
Well,
we
Alan,
actually have
No.
we have
Alan,
a preliminary
there's a plan,
for it, but
there
when
is
we meet
general
tomorrow,
type.
I'm going to go over.
One at a time.
Yeah, the plan for the 162 trees is fairly general. In Memorial Park, it's fairly specific where they're going in. But in the Kiola field and the Fred Allen field, Kiola was kind of specific, but Fred Allen basically just said that there's going to be roughly about 60 trees in the rear and maybe about 40 in the front.
Yeah.
So in general, there's a location, but when Alan and I actually took a tour, we homed in on more specific locations, especially in the rear of Fred Allen Field. We said, okay, field number 1, maybe 45 trees could go in here, and then all along fields 2 and 3 in the rear, maybe another 60 or so. But that's written down, and I am going to superimpose that on one of the maps.
So the township has no thoughts on where the trees are gonna go, Jim Majewski?
Well, and that is something when we meet tomorrow, we can work through that. We have a general schematic of where the trees are going and the rough species, but which ones work best where will be part of our deliberations as we go around in the coming weeks.
All right, so we gotta move along here, but Sumya, ask your questions and then we'll.
Yeah, I'll be quick. So in terms of priorities, just off the top of my head, the concerns I was having is that if possible to identify sites where flooding is more prone. Second would be contiguity with existing open space so that you have a larger tract for more biodiversity benefits. And the third I was wondering is, I'm not sure how the township property ownership falls, but tracks along pico lines are really ugly, where we have trees which have been butchered. So I was wondering how one can do something about it, whether that gets included in this long-term plan, maybe a later stage, maybe not a high priority because it might be tough to coordinate with PICO. But on the other hand, I found that PICO has actually part of a program called Treeline USA, which specifically deals with this, how to properly plant along electricity lines. So they have an actual profile section which they recommend, and PICO is part of that program. So I don't know if we can, from the township, reach out to them and get it incorporated in the long-range plan. And lastly, I actually have never managed to go and visit all these sites. So if it's possible tomorrow, I don't know what time you're planning to. If it's feasible, I would like to come.
I'm going to meet Jim at 9:30 at the township building.
Is it okay for me to come, Jim?
Sure.
And how long do you think it will take?
Yeah, so I'm bringing my
About
sleeping
14
bag.
hours.
No, what is your how
Half
long,
day.
roughly when do you think you'll get done?
I think we're going to go. Jim, what time does the office usually close?
4:30.
Yeah, we won't go beyond 4:30. We might go to 4 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
But going back to your priorities, I got number 3 around the PICO line, number 2 existing open space. What did you say was number 1 priority?
Areas prone to flooding is what you said.
Sites prone
okay.
to flooding.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, Linda, did you have any questions on this? You're good?
Not really, yeah.
No, just one comment. I would have liked to have been there, but I have a 9:30 meeting at Bowman's that's going to last for a couple hours. But Jim, if you're on the tour, what Alan and I were actually thinking about with Fred Allen Field is on the south side of field number 1, 15 trees. And then behind fields 2 and 3, all the way down, another 42 trees. Now, they can be single spaced or
Yeah, Jim, I already have
like,
your plan for that. You
Pardon?
had given us your rough plan for that before.
Yeah.
Did we give you the?
Yeah. So I have that.
Okay, you have that then.
Yes.
All right, one thing though, if the trees actually, if there's more than will fit in there, fields 2 and 3 curve around towards Oxford Valley Road. And after they curve, There's one area close to trees, but then it opens up wide. And if need be, you could place a lot of extra trees in there as well.
Thank you.
All right, were you done, Sumya? Did you have more questions?
No, I'm done. So I'll try to come at 9:30. I don't think I can stay there the whole day, but I will probably break off at some point. So township building?
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
And-
let's wrap this up because we got other things.
Alan, can I say one thing really quick, please?
One thing, Dan.
One thing, it may be 10 parts. I apologize. No, I kid. So from a township perspective, Mr. Kamita, I'm the township supervisor that ends up voting on all this stuff. I liaise to the EAC.
Okay.
So Sumia brought up some great points from an overall township policy future needs perspective, where right now the township is undertaking a pardon the pun here, a deep dive into reviewing our stormwater management facilities throughout the township to
Right.
deal with historic flooding issues that you may have seen in the news back in July, some of the massive flooding that's gone on. So
Sure.
wherever there is an opportunity to plant some trees, whether it's in a basin as a retrofit of some type or surrounding areas, riparian zones, whatever it may be, low-lying areas where we may be able to help improve stormwater management, whether it's quality, quantity, runoff, etc. I think that's one of our higher priorities, in addition to creating larger habitat corridors and whatnot. The grand entrance, depending, is always nice to look at, but we're really focused on using trees for their habitat and their stormwater management capabilities. This is my background too. I've been in consulting for 25 years doing similar work. So,
Oh, good.
so we're just really focused on those issues. That EAC's done a great job putting plans together over the years and recently. So we have a great wealth of resources here, and you'll get lots of feedback that you can use. But I just want, from a township perspective, I just wanted everyone to hear what we're focused on right now moving forward. And I think, Sumi, you made some great points there too, and I think others have done the same. I just wanted to reinforce it from a township perspective. And as a side note, relative to plantings, I actually run my company's energy sector environmental group, so I deal with power lines all the time and vegetation management underneath power lines. There are NERC and ERC guidelines for vegetation management under power lines of different voltages, where you can look at trees versus shrubs and heights and whatnot, for depending on what we're looking at. So those usually will dictate, and that's what PICO and others will use. So it may be more shrubs than trees, but at the same time, it's nice to try and work with that. And when you do look at the basins and other areas, even if it doesn't fit into our overall tree plan per se, but you have some ideas for some other ideas pop up, please feel free to share those, whether it's putting shrubs in a basin where trees may not be appropriate, or something else that you just happen to see based on your years of experience. We're more than happy to take some additional free advice.
No, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I've worked with Dave, so just to let you know, I worked with Dave Kratzer for about 15 years when he was at Penn Township and Susquehanna Township. And so Dave will tell you, you can always count on me. I'll be the guy warming up in the bullpen, always available for everything.
Good to hear it. And the last thing I'll say, and this is for the Bray family over there, just make sure we keep it native. We are definitely appreciate our native trees around here.
I like that. Yeah, very good.
Okay, so the plan is, Tom, you're going to attend our November 9th meeting, and we're going to go through the draft plan you will have put together by then. And if you could send that to us, 6 or 7 days before our meeting, so we could have time to look at it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll send it by November 2nd, so you'll have it for a week in advance.
Great, that's good. Okay. All right, well, thanks for coming to our meeting. You can hang
Thank
around
you
or you
so much.
can go on with your life.
Yeah, so
Right.
I have a quick question. So currently, are several of you gathered at the township building?
No, we're all dispersed. We're all on
All
Zoom.
this- Okay.
Except I'm
And
here.
Jim,
Oh, Jim is there. Yeah, sorry, Jim.
I'm here.
so
We do
what-
have access to the township building for the meetings though, right? I see the township building on
Right.
Zoom in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not, it could be a
Yeah,
hybrid
if you
meeting.
want to
if we
go to
wanted
the
to make-
township building, you're
Okay.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to do on November 9th, if it's not inconvenient, is meet Jim there and have the drawings with me, the ones that I'll send in advance, just so that there's no problem with the Zoom.
Okay.
No problem.
Do y'all want to plan on a hybrid meeting that time? That way we can spread out. And if Jim, maybe if you got a PDF or something or a PowerPoint, you might be able to share the screen as
Oh,
like you do in
absolutely.
supervisor meetings.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Very good. All right, well, thank you very much, and I really look forward to a successful collaboration. We have to put all of our heads together.
Yes, it'll be fun.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go through the next things pretty quick. Recycling, we're still on for October 28th at the Township Building, 10 a.m. to noon. I think 3 of the Lions Club people are going to come and help us with the styrofoam and the other things. And anybody else who wants to come, you're coming, Paul, right?
I'm coming. And so is
Good,
Barbara, who's in the Lions Club.
Okay, and I'll be there, and Jim, and
I'll
maybe
be there.
Gene, and anybody else who wants to come, Sumya?
Not sure, but I'll let you know before.
Okay, Kevin, you'll be there?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, I think we'll have enough people. It'll be relaxed this time. It'll be kind of nice, at least theoretically. So we're all set with that. Yeah, get there a few minutes before 10. I've got the bags. Jim Bray, you have the signs. They're that important.
I don't know.
Huh?
Look, we have some signs. I thought you had them in your basement, in your garage.
Garage? I didn't see them, but I'll look again.
All right, I'll take a look as well.
Okay. So is there anything on the LMT schools? I guess Sumya or Kevin?
No news from them.
Okay.
From what I could
Yeah.
I could receive.
They had the progress report. Anything on that, Kevin?
Yeah, I passed that along to you. They're making progress in all areas, but they have a lot they have to do. It seems like they have a pretty good plan, and they're going to do a report every year to the board, to the school board.
Mhm.
So that way it kind of keeps them on their toes, keeps them accountable. I think they said I can't remember the number. I think they had 9 of the schools had internal green teams that were established. So their goal is to get all green teams in every school to kind of get the students to kind of lead the charge with some of the things.
Mhm.
So
All
they're,
right.
they're looking to get education and buy-in.
Is that at every level, Kevin? Or is so
Every
that's
level, yes.
okay, that's good to
Yeah.
hear. I haven't heard anything from my kids' school, so I was curious.
Yeah, no, my kid's school does not have it, so I'm gonna try and get that started.
Good stuff.
All right, and the last thing would be the electronic recycling event on November 11th. The township and Yardley Borough are hosting. It's right next to the pool, that parking lot. We're going to be handing out flyers at our recycling event to let people know about it. And I don't know if we need to do anything at the November 11th event. It's not clear, but if anybody has any ideas, our next meeting is before it, so we could still put something together if we wanted. All right, land use reviews. Let's move through this fast. The 1566 subdivision was approved last week by the supervisors. And Jim Majewski, how many replacement trees are gonna be going into the replacement tree bank? You're not there. Okay, that wasn't clear. They owed a lot of replacement trees. They're gonna plant half of them or part of them on site and part of them will go to the tree bank.
What are you talking about? 1566, Alan?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. Now the Torbert Farm review has been pushed back to December 31st. They're changing their plans. They're up to 90 houses now. With Creamery Road meeting up with Mirror Lake Road, the road's gonna be adjusted and taken right through the property.
What they're the township had put this was sort of a paper approach several years ago. So it realigns Creamery to connect to Mirror Lake. It'll make it a little straighter, so you don't have make it an actual intersection versus that jog. And then they're going to the old Creamery, as I'll call it. Depending on the concept you see, they're looking at possibly turning that into a cul-de-sac for a handful of houses. The few that are already there now, plus a few more that the developer's putting out in their concept. We don't have an actual. We've seen a few concepts hard copy, but we're still waiting to see what their actual plan is going to be for more formal review. So that we have that December 31st, but it may go longer than that depending on when they actually submit something.
Well, who's responsible for paying for that, Dan?
Well, there's a lot of stuff, mostly the developer. But we're also looking, as part of the whole, Alan, what'd you say, 90 units, 92, I've heard everything from 90 to 96. So,
wow.
With limited 3/4 acre, primarily a couple, some 1 acre, and I think I was told a couple 1.5 acre lots, depending on the location, with some open space, but nothing near what any of us would probably consider to be true blue open space. So I think there's a lot of discussions to be had with the new owners. The sale has closed. It is not owned by Torbert's anymore. It's owned by the developers. I think they call it Torbert Farm LP or something. I don't. They have a name that's similar to Torbert, but it's new ownership. So now we need to see what we can do there relative to the final plan.
Do you know what the name of the new developer is? And, I was at the initial meeting when we met on site, and at that time they were talking about 78 houses. So I guess they're looking for more money.
Yeah, they would say they want to do slightly greater density to provide more open space. But when you look, again, I don't have a full plan in front of me, so it's all relative, right? What they consider more open space. So I think there's a lot to be discussed before we get to a plan that people would agree to in final. But I don't have much to go on after that. I wish I did.
But do you know the name of the developer, Dan?
I don't off the top of my head. I got to ask either Mr. Majewski or Dave Kratzer, see if they know for sure yet if they've been given a name or not.
Is it?
I just know that it's closed. Say again, Alan. Sorry.
Toll Brothers. I mean, it seems like it could be a big company.
I don't know that. For some reason, I don't think that's the case, but I don't know for certain. There's nobody that I know that we've heard that I can remember us talking about in the past.
All right. So that we have to approve a couple comment letters. One's on the point at Edgewood Village. So this will be our second comment letter. And there's only one comment in it, and it's just correcting the attorney Ed Murphy, who said you couldn't put pervious pavement in the parking lot, and that's just wrong. He told that to the Planning Commission. I just want to correct that error so the Planning Commission knows it could be done if they wanted.
Yeah, it's perfectly feasible. It's just a cost thing.
Yeah. So Murphy doesn't know what he's talking about. And the other one is a new one, 1511 Lyndhurst Road. It's a subdivision or subdividing a 4.5 acre lot. And they're going to build a new house and expand the existing one. And I had a number of comments on that, 6 or 7. And the most interesting thing about that is it seems like the developer's trying to have the stream buffer at 50 feet, which means you have 20-foot vegetation in the buffer. And right now it's lawn. And so the zoning board suggested they plant in that 50-foot buffer, and eventually it would be 20 feet high, and then they could have a 50-foot buffer. But they're taking it already, and they haven't even planted anything. So I think they're getting a little ahead of themselves. And the last one was one I sent out today on the 25% open space in residential developments. I had been told that we shouldn't send in an EAC letter because we couldn't publicly approve sending it in. Because I don't know what happened, Dan. You were going to look at that development or that change in the ordinance, the Saldo ordinance.
So there, it went in front of the planning commission. They considered it, and then part of the planning commission, they said it was going to come to you guys to review. Suzanne missed the meeting, so I think that's probably one of the reasons it didn't get on the agenda.
Right.
But
well,
yeah. So, and I don't know what's on the next agenda because I don't write them. But one of the questions I had was the definition of open space is pretty wide still.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I want to narrow that down so that things like basketball courts and sports fields aren't considered open space per se because they're managed very differently.
Yeah, we touch on that in our comments. There's 2 comments in it, so hopefully it'll help. So can we have a vote to approve all 3 of those and get this meeting moving? Because it's almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve all 3. By the way, I read them thoroughly, Alan, and you did a really nice job on those. So again, I would make a motion to approve all 3 and send out the letters to the appropriate parties.
Okay.
I second it.
I think Dan's comment is important to specify in your comment. When you say that in your comment, you say that we would like to limit use of recreational activities on open space. Maybe you could make it specific to perviousness of the, how the surface is going to be treated.
Yeah, well, we talk about construction of recreational facilities in the designated open space. And we
maybe the important thing is really, maybe the important thing is really how much you retain the porosity. Recreation could be anything. It's too general, no?
You don't want impervious surface, right? Is that what you're?
Maybe you could say limit impervious surface, because recreation can be suitable recreation also.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Well, did you read the comment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I touch on that. It should have limited environmental impact, and I suggested adding a clause that said any facility built on open space for the purposes of active recreation shall preserve the existing natural features to the maximum extent possible. Tree removal, impervious surface, etc., shall be kept to a minimum.
Got it.
And there can be no development on the resource protected land.
Got it. Fine.
All right. So hopefully that does the job.
Yeah. Alan, when it goes before the board, I'm going to probably press for even more than that.
Okay.
So that they're not building ball fields and calling that open space.
That's fine. And we say you can't build recreation facilities and just have them available to the people living in the development.
That's important as well. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Great. I'll send those on probably tomorrow. Got the Philly game tonight. Got to watch that. All right. Number 6, nominations for the Environmental Stewardship Award.
Yeah, I think this year we should strongly consider the Delaware River Keeper for the award for 2023. I've been familiar with this organization for years, and they do an incredible job. And I think over the last 30 or 40 years, they're one of the main reasons this organization is why the river is in the excellent condition that it is today. I happen to know the executive director, Maya Van Rossen, and she is like literally a dog on a bone. When they latch onto something that they feel is important, they stay with it. They're one of the reasons that fracking isn't occurring in the upper Delaware Basin. Also on a current basis, what they're trying to do is add protection for the Atlantic sturgeon that actually is in this river, not in the quantities that it used to be years ago. But that's just, I think, a small example of the work that they've done over the years. Mm-hmm. They've also prevented some serious dredging in the river because of the environmental impacts that would have over the years. So I think this group is really very, very well deserving of the award. I think last year we homed in on the Friends of the Delaware Canal. So what do people think? I think it's I think it's a good fix for our award, and I think they're very well deserving.
Yeah, they're a good organization. They do good things, so sure.
Yeah, I'm a member.
Well, that makes me think they may not be so good.
Well, I will say there is a lot of controversy around the river.
Well, actually,
the River Keeper.
Gene and I are members too, Alan. So
yeah.
Controversy on the fracking?
No, not around the fracking. Some of the practices and procedures that the River Keeper individually has used in various townships across this area, and I don't believe she lives. I think she lives out on the main line now. I've had run-ins on work that I've done in the past where there's been a lot of misinformation put out there.
Is she still around?
Yeah, it's the same person.
Oh.
So I would not be in favor of this particular organization based on my personal history with them, understanding what some of the stuff that they attempt to do. I think there are better organizations out there.
Well, I understand, your comment, Dan, but I respectfully don't agree. I think that this organization is well deserving of the Environmental Stewardship Award.
Yeah, no, I'll be voting against that if it comes before the Board of Supervisors. I have 25 years of history having to address them in a professional manner. And it's been rather frustrating to work with them and to see some of the stuff that they put out. Members of the organization mean very well, and nothing against members, and some of the professional staff mean very well. But the self-proclaimed River Keeper, there's a lot of controversy around her actions and her methods.
Is she president?
Well, based on your comments, I think I think I might let it go for now, but maybe in the past we have not really run this by the Board of Supervisors. The EAC has basically made the nominations, and it has not really been blessed per se by the Board of Supervisors. So going forward, I don't know really how we should handle something like that.
Well, Dan, could you give an example of what they did? Because I don't know what's going on here.
No, I'm not going to get into details right now. I won't. I'm just saying, 25 years of having to address their actions, of understanding what they do and how they do it. It's not an organization that I think represents the township well, the way the current leadership works.
I think, nobody asked me, but what I think is that the two of you can talk and you can find out from Dan what the problems
Yeah,
are. Because, it sounds like they're pretty.
All right, in the meantime, I will, drop the nomination. I think the EAC over the years, one of the reasons that we have been so successful is because we have had an excellent, reputation in dealing with the township manager on a very, very positive basis, and also dealing with the board of supervisors on a very, very positive basis. So, I mean, if you're that upset about this nomination, Dan, I would certainly, defer to you at this time. And maybe I can discuss a little further in the future.
No, I appreciate that, Jim. And I wouldn't use the word upset. I would say I would not, in terms of what the township, what the township is trying to promote by this award is we want it to be a very positive award, right? People doing positive things for the environment, and we all agree on that. And there's certain groups that, may not, based on personal experience working with them, may not quite encapsulate that in a certain way, even though others may not have had that experience. So it's important to share that, that's all. And it's representing the award is representing the township and our goals and outlooks on things. And we just want to make sure that it can be put in the most positive light possible. That's how I look at it. That's all.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I will, at this stage, defer to your judgment, Dan, because having a positive relationship with not only you, but the whole board is important to the EAC.
I appreciate that. And I think, we have one. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Pardon me as I cough into my microphone.
So we still have time, though, to come up with another nominee. It's only October.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this was the one I thought of, but why doesn't everybody get their minds working? And then, in November, we actually have November to December, but the earliest, we can get the award moving, the better off for everybody, I think. So.
Yeah, maybe find.
We had any volunteer groups doing anything of late in the town? I know that the Friends of Delaware Canal were great last year. I thought they were perfect because they had just done some work for us as well. Have we had anyone really doing a lot of work these days recently?
Well, that's one of the things we're going to be, looking into. In the past, what I've also done is I've checked with the Pennsbury school system to see if they've had any specific group of students that perhaps should be singled out for merit. And over the years, we've actually awarded the Environmental Stewardship Award to a couple of those groups. So, we'll look around, see what we can come up with, but that's up to everybody on the EAC. So hopefully next meeting, somebody will have some recommendations.
All right. Well, think about it. Number 7, the EAC newsletter. Paul's here, Matt's not here. Dave, I guess Matt put out a draft of a newsletter for October, and Dave Kratzer made some comments, and I thought his comments were good. So do you talk at all with Matt, Paul, about the newsletter?
I haven't this issue. The last one I did, but yeah, I read them too. I think they were particularly spot on. I thought Krajewski also had some comments. Was I mistaken?
Krajewski? I didn't get that, but might have gone to spam. Who knows? I don't think Jim Majewski commented on the newsletter. So maybe you can contact Matt. We need to add a flyer for the township's electronic recycling event on November 11th. And do you have that flyer, Paul?
No, I don't. But I remember he did mention that should be added to it.
Well, I'll send you the flyer.
Well, the newsletter
I can't-
hasn't been sent out yet, correct?
Not the
No,
October
the
one,
November
no.
one has not. No, the fall one rather. Also, I can't be there for the electronics recycling. I'll be out of town.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has to be there because I don't know. Somebody else is doing it, and Dave Kratzer thought we could hand out literature, but I don't know if we need to do that.
Well, who's
So,
going to actually make those suggested changes before the newsletter gets sent out?
yeah, either Paul or Matt need to do it. So maybe Paul, you could coordinate with Matt. I'm going to send you the flyer. It
All right.
needs to be added
And
on.
I'll contact him and see what we can put together and get it out.
Yeah, and get rid of the open space stuff because that was old
Mhm.
information. We put that out like 15 months ago.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing that I can't remember, but yeah, incorporate his comments, and then you can go ahead and send it out. All right, webpage Sumya. And by the way, Sumya, about half my emails to you bounce back.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Some of them go through and some of them bounce back. Like I sent some of these comment letters bounce back.
Actually,
So
even my husband was saying that sometimes it block. I should see what's going on.
is your mailbox full? That might be it. I don't know.
I'll check. So,
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to send them to you again in like 2 days, and we'll see if they bounce back. Do something. But yeah, you should know that though, because you're not getting some stuff that's being sent out.
Oh, I
Somebody
see.
else was
Okay.
having trouble with it too. They mentioned
Okay.
either Kevin or Matt.
Yeah, I was on.
Yeah. So yeah. So anything new on the web page? I know the township's doing big things. They're changing the web page all around.
It's live now. So if you go on lmt.org, you'll see it's not all that dissimilar to what it looked like before. But the service that runs it, they do a lot of other municipalities in the state, so that it looks pretty similar to other towns you may have looked at, but it's fairly user friendly, a little more intuitive. But if you go and you can log in, it's more interactive where you can get access to more information. Set up an account if you need a permit or you want to send comments, excuse me, to the township. So we're trying to make it more interactive so we can get more information to and from residents.
And they're still working on it, right? I don't think it's done.
Oh, it's never done. It's live,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's live now. There's been a few postings about that recently on social media, but if you see stuff that isn't working right, if anything's missing, please feel free to let the folks in the township know that so they can address it. I looked at the EAC's website the other day. It looks fairly similar to what it used to. I just want to make sure it hasn't lost any links to any of the key documents that were up there.
Yeah.
There's great resources up there.
They still don't have the flyer for the October 28th recycling event though, do they?
I honestly don't know. I'd have to look.
Unless I looked at one there, so
Okay.
not totally up to date. So I guess keep an eye on that. So you'll see if they get things up to speed, and once they do, we can start suggesting changes.
Yes, I sent out the information on the Tree City USA program and compare it. I mean, and also the other programs that were there along with the Arbor Day Foundation website. So sent it out only today. So I'm not sure whether anybody got a chance to look at it, but I can share it right now if you want.
Yeah, the Tree City thing, it looked like there's 4 requirements. And the arborist would be one of those, meet one of those requirements if we got one. But go ahead.
Yeah. You want me to share the file? The
If
thing?
you can do it quickly, we're going to get cut off any second now. So
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just opening the file.
Alan, the next meeting's the airport group, and they're meeting at the township building. I don't see any heads sitting down yet, so just
oh yeah, good.
That'll be your indicator.
Yeah.
Can you actually see the file?
Nope. You see me.
I just see Alan.
Yeah.
Now I
Oh.
see us.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a reverse
I think
image.
it's saying you are screen sharing. I'll try it again. Oh, okay. I got it. Now?
There you go.
There.
Yeah.
So, so there are 6 programs that could potentially be considered. The Tree City USA, which is adding trees. And then there is the Bank of America Community Resilience Grant, which is for green infrastructure. And there's a little caveat there that they'd like to target low and moderate income communities or equity seeking communities. So I'm not sure whether we are definitely not low and middle income, moderate income, but with the new developments, with more townhomes, I don't know whether we can be considered equity seeking, that we are trying to balance the population. Then there is the community tree recovery, which is to provide trees to homeowners after natural calamities. There is phytoremediation for cleanup of contaminated sites through tree planting. The trees will be provided free. And then there is a community canopy program, which also has an outreach education for community component, meaning that potentially maybe we could organize one of our lecture series sessions through them. That is just to talk about benefits of trees. So, but in case we want to, and then they also have a tool that helps residents determine location and which type of what species they can pick for their site. And they also, I think, give free trees. So they have this energy saving trees concept, and they have a community canopy tool. And then there is a Tree Line USA, which is to do with utilities and trees. And in our area, in Pennsylvania, PICO is one of their partners. So I guess all of them potentially have some, potential for support. They all have some conditions to be met, but none of them look too difficult to meet. So I sent this out by email anyway. So, and we can figure out how to take this ahead. Maybe we can meet with David Kratzer and see which ones the township would be interested in taking up.
Huh.
You say something?
Which one would have the greatest advantage to the township? I mean, I'm looking at them and
they're all small buckets, and they all provide different things. Free trees are a big component of some of them. Then education is another thing, which is like basically I'm talking about the low-hanging fruit benefits one can get. Then next is $50,000 for green infrastructure. And the last would be the tree maintenance program, which is the Tree City USA program, which I don't know, which I think is the comparatively most challenging one for our township. But we have neighboring municipalities such as New Hope, Burroughs, Woolbury, Newtown, Yardley, Hamilton, Princeton, Lawrence, Pennington, who have actually got it. So there is enough precedence for our township to look at.
My personal opinion is that I think Tree City USA is the poster child. I think they're the group that's been doing this the longest period of time. And when I go into other municipalities, I've never seen any signs for any of these others. But as a matter of fact, I didn't even know a lot of these existed. So it was a good job finding these, Sumya. But my personal feeling is that I think, again, Tree City USA is the most recognizable of all of them. I think it's been around the longest, and I think that would reflect most favorably upon Lower Makefield Township. That's my personal opinion.
That is not correct, because they are all part of the Arbor Day Foundation umbrella, and they all have long histories. We may not have heard, this is the first time I'm hearing of all of them. In fact, community canopy is something that Upper Makefield Township has adopted. Philadelphia has adopted the Bank of America Community Resilience Program. So it's just a matter of what we have seen so far and not. So, but they all have their history.
again, my feeling is that Tree City USA to me is the most recognizable. And I think, again, that would reflect most favorably on Lower Makefield Township. Again, that's my personal opinion based upon, what I've seen in the area. And I also looked at the parameters, and I think they're pretty meaningful.
Yeah, for all of them. I mean, I don't think we should rule out any of them based on, they all seem to be good programs. We may not have heard of them, but they all have long histories. And they all come under the Arbor Day Foundation umbrella. So you may have heard of only Tree City USA, but they have these other programs also running in parallel with history.
But don't we need to just pick one? I mean, we can't go for all six, can we?
It's not for us to pick anyway. It's for the township to figure out what they are interested in and where they want to put their effort and how much resources they have. We can only recommend, right? Anyway, the EAC is not going to, does not have the agency to take this up. We can only recommend to the township that these are available, and these are the pros and cons, and it depends on the appetite the township has.
So if I can, because we're going to get kicked out of here pretty soon for the next meeting. It sounds like we probably need some more time to get people to review some of the standards and requirements to make a strong recommendation that people can get behind and educate township staff a little bit about what they can go for.
Yeah.
So is this something maybe we could table till the next meeting?
Yeah.
But I appreciate this table here. This is interesting stuff.
Did you get the copy I sent? I'm not sure whether you were there in that email list. Did you get it today, Dan?
Honestly, I would have to check my email. I'm looking at what you have on the screen. It looks good to me. So if you want to email it to me, you can, but I'll have to double check after the meeting, see if I have it.
I just sent it out I sort of did a reply all to Alan's thing. So I didn't see who all were there on that list. So.
Okay.
I can send it to you in case it wasn't there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And I might send you some comments
Sorry
on
to
this.
interrupt. Yeah, we have to, that's hard stop. Next meeting, ad hoc is coming.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, they double booked. The ad hoc committee is on Zoom. Ad hoc property committee is on Zoom, and the airport committee is live in the building. So if you wanted to attend both, you'll have to go to the building and bring your phone with you and watch it online. I wasn't aware of that till just a few minutes ago. Apologies.
All right, Gene, we'll get to Birdtown next month, all right? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get up to date. All right, so I guess that's it.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for attending, and see a lot of you on the 28th.
Yeah, good work, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.